I'm just going to review what we did last week. So last week I interviewed a whole bunch of businesses and I found 6 success stories from different businesses across South Africa. And there were 5 lessons learned that came out of chatting to those 6 businesses. And those 5 were how to expand your market, how to consider new ways to deliver your product, how to partner with other businesses and when to partner, how to stay connected with your customers and how important that is. And it's actually now very important to start investing in your business's future, because this crisis is not going to last forever. So today, we're going to find out all about the elephant in the room. Now I'm going to hand over to Lelani, and she's going to chat to a lady, and she's going to tell you who or what is the elephant in the room. So over to you, Lelani.
Yeah. I invited Paula along to come and chat to us today, and the topic is the elephant in the room, I think, because Paula and her husband Les actually moved to South Africa in 2017, Paula?
Yeah, almost 3 years ago.
2017, and they started, well, I met Paula through Van der Spy, and she was really interested in small businesses and what's been done in South Africa. And then we got in contact, and then one day I phoned and I said, please come and talk to my class, because Paula used to be a professor in the UK. And I said, please come and talk to my class. And she said, okay, but I'm making gin now. So I said, great, tell me more about it. And well, Paula and her husband started a gin making business, and it is called Indlovu Gin. So I'll ask Paula to just tell us a little bit more about her business, the Indlovu Gin.
Okay, hi everybody, good morning. Yes, we make a very unusual gin. You may or may not have heard of it. It's Indlovu Gin, and we have 2 gins now. The first one is made from elephant forage botanicals, and by that we mean cleansed elephant dung. And the other one is a prickly pear and vanilla. So really what I'm going to talk to you today about is the classic, as we call it, which is the elephant dung gin. So this came about really because I was trying to find what I was going to do in South Africa, and I'd been to Kenya to meet my mother, and we'd done some game drives, and every night we were by the waterhole drinking gin and tonics, watching the elephants. And I think it was a really nice, quite soothing time with moving countries with the kids and everything. And then, sorry, I think I've just got some tea delivered. Thank you. And then we came back down to Cape Town, and the kids hadn't been on a game drive. And we took them to Bottelerskop, and we did a walk. And the ranger was telling us about the elephants, and that they really are, their main purpose is clearing large areas of bush. And they only digest about 30% of what they eat. And they're eating all this beautiful, like, well, over here it's not so beautiful, but acacia, and then there are aloes and all these other beautiful botanicals. And it goes through them in about 24 hours. And when you see the material, it's like it's hardly been digested. It really hasn't. There's almost berries and leaves and bark. So for me, with my science head on, it was very interesting. Anyway, I didn't think too much more about it. And then I think probably a month or 2 went by. And I was daydreaming in the morning and thinking maybe about gin and the game drives. And all of a sudden, I don't know where it came from, I had a light bulb moment where I just, as Richard Branson says, always be connecting the dots, joined the dots and I woke my husband up and said, I've had a really good idea. And he's like, what? And I went, you could use elephant dung in the production of gin. And I think because we'd moved and just settled here, he didn't shut me down straight away. And because I've been in science and I'm very theoretical, I'm an ideas person, he listened and he said, well, okay, well, explore it. So I managed to obtain some dung from Bottelerskop, which I then went through a whole sanitizing process. And then I had this wonderful straw-like raw material, and it stayed on my sideboard for a while because I felt, oh goodness, if I go and see someone about making this into gin, they're definitely going to think that I'm a crazy scientist. And then I was introduced to basically one of South Africa's best gin makers, or gin master, Roger Jorgensen. And I wasn't sure how he would take it. And I went to see him. And he's a bit like a Rolling Stones guy, which was great. He was very open-minded. And I showed him the material, and he tasted it and smelt it. And then he said, what is it? You can definitely make gin from it. And I said, it's dried elephant dung. And his face just lit up. And he said, I'm 100% with you. We'll make the best gin. If you're going to use basically this in your product, you can't make a bad gin. And he said, I will hold your hand from now on until you get the product onto the shelf. So it was a fairly quick process. A couple of months went by. We had to get it through the forestry, I can't remember what it's called, DAF, Department of Agricultural Fisheries, which I thought, no way, but they passed it very quickly, which was surprising as well. And we had it tested for various things, and everything came back perfectly good. It was a really good gin. So that was kind of how it all started. And we ended up with this gin that went onto the shelves, and Duty Free was the first people who took the largest order straight away. And it kind of went from strength to strength. We did obviously have people who were like, are you utterly out of your mind? And we had a bit of the not tall poppy syndrome, but strange girl coming into the classroom episode, where other businesses were like, oh, that's a cool idea, but kept their distance, completely kept their distance, but sort of showed us they were friendly, but didn't really want to walk into the arena with us. And what's been interesting is we kind of stuck our ground. We had some interesting social media times, but I decided to be like a film star and not read those. And then we had a very influential blogger. So I handed over the baby, and Roger had said to me, no, it's a really good gin, just stand strong. So we had to wait a month. And then she sent us a little message saying, what I like, what I see, I like. Or what I taste, I like. And then she wrote the most fantastic blog, which was the start and gave us a bit more confidence. Then I did a press release, which went absolutely crazy around the world. We were then on news, BBC, Times, CNN, Fox News. Then we had a second wave of this later on as well, which then turned into video and not film production, but producers came over to make features for their news stations. We had a Japanese reality TV show just about to come out, but that got cancelled with COVID. So it's been the most incredible journey of quite a crazy idea, to be honest. And now we've ended up with sort of ambassadors around our story who support us all along the way, whatever we do, in lots of different countries. We won a double gold at the Craft Gin Award. I think it was 16 out of 150. And I've got a few degrees, and that was probably one of the proudest moments where I thought I was actually going to cry on stage. We're proudly South African. That was a big thing for us to get the proudly South African certificate. We export to 5 or 6 countries now, and we give back 15% to wildlife conservation, which is actually, I'll explain later, been really vital to us. And our most exciting is we just won this World Travel Market Storytelling Foodie Award for 2020, which is great, which was supposed to be a big gala evening, but ended up as an email. But anyway, so we have had quite an adventure with our gin, and that's us in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Now, but with all of this, can you please just tell us, what does it take to keep your business going? Right through, before we had the COVID-19, and right now, what are you doing to keep that momentum going?
Okay, well, the main thing behind our gin, because we knew nothing about gin. I mean, I don't even know how I came up with gin. I didn't even drink that much gin. I do now, it's changed, especially in these times. When we looked at the gin shelf, it is really saturated globally, really, apart from probably China, Japan, and the States is a bit slower. So we didn't make our gin deliberately to be disruptive, if that makes sense. Our gin came with an amazing story. And little did we know that story has been the real selling point of our gin and makes it stand out in a completely different category to any other gin on the shelf. I don't know over here if you have Ripley's Believe It or Not, but in the UK, it's kind of like not Guinness Book of Records-ish. Suddenly someone's done a cartoon, so we're actually in the 2020 annual for that. So we've, it's taken people's imaginations, it stopped them in their tracks. Some people have gone, don't be utterly ridiculous. And others are like, tell me more. So it really does depend on if you're more of an adventurous personality or whether you're kind of more of a laggard type. So the storytelling has been really important. The marketing as well, to keep that relationship that we are a serious premium gin, but we've got a really good story and it gives back. That's been sort of vital for us the whole way through, just to keep talking, be visible. Les and I are very visible with what we do, but sort of backing it up, we have relationship building is really important for us. So if we get any communication through Instagram, we'll always reply personally. It's building relationships with our distributors. We had 2 German distributors fighting over us, and one was ringing the other one's customers to say that they were the sole provider and all this type of stuff, and they weren't. We didn't give exclusivity out to anybody. So we just had to really work on the communication side and building the relationships. Storytelling has been absolutely invaluable.
You've actually answered my next question there about the best way to reach your customers. How do you what do you think is going to keep them locked in?
Well, I was thinking about this last night. How do we lock them in? How do we kind of keep sort of a fan base? Because, you know, social media can be quite fickle. I think we do regular posts and we try and keep it varied on social media. Social media is funny because a lot of people don't actually flag up that they have seen your post. But when they see you, they're like, oh, yes, I've seen you on social media. I've seen you. So you sometimes might think you've only got 50 viewers, but you might have a couple of hundred who are just, you know, flick through and just see, and it just sits in their mind. So I think keeping in touch with people as much as you can. The other thing that we found that we didn't realize was such a sales point is on our bottles, we have our double gold medal. But then our distributors said, please, can you put on that you give 15% back to wildlife conservation? It's written on the box. I'm not sure if it's on the bottle. Because they said that is something that when people are making a choice and they say, oh, well, it gives back to conservation and the Africa Foundation, I want to support that. And that's been quite a lock-in. And we do that on our pink gin and the classic gin. And actually with anything that we do promotion-wise goes back in. We do quite a lot of, if people ask us for a couple of, well, we did have someone who wanted 12 bottles of gin for some function, we're like, no. But if people want a bottle for an auction, or for some fundraising to do with wildlife, or will we go and do pre-dinner drinks? We find the tonic people give us free tonic if we're doing a promotion. So we just provide the gin. So under 100 people, we can often do an event as well. So people then come and talk to you and find out about your gin. So that's been a good thing. Relationship building is vital. And one other thing was to say is if you're standing in the queue, which you often are now to go into shops, talk to the people next to you. It's amazing. One person had big links with something around the world with small hotels and interesting gifts to give to people. So you never know who you're standing next to. I think just keep talking. Don't be shy about your business.
Thank you. That's really nice. Now, have you got a contingency plan once we get to level 3 and we can buy gin again? What then?
Well, we were talking about this again last night, and I don't think anything's really changed because we've kept consistent with the marketing. What we were fortunate enough to do is we've got stock. So we're ready to go. Our distributor has got stock of both of our South Africa. So as soon as they push the button that we're allowed to trade, we can trade straight away. We haven't got to wait for raw material to come in and then bottle it and then wait on our bottles. So we've got enough to get us going. And we've already ordered bottles already being printed now so that they can come, because we get those printed in Joburg, so we can start the process. We don't know how long that's going to be. We want to be sort of proactive really than reactive and like, oh, we can get our business going. So we do have the cash flow, fortunately, for that. Making the gin is going to be another thing, because we've got our raw botanicals, we've got plenty of that, and our freezer is full of prickly pear, but it may be getting the base spirit that we make the gin from. There's going to be a bit of a backlog there, but really making sure that you can be as ready to go as possible. Our website we've updated. We've got an online shop that we're hoping to be able to link to Takealot, so people can click on our site. It takes them straight there. And really, we're also exporting. So the export we're pushing for after lockdown too. So really being absolutely ready as we possibly can.
Okay. Last question. What advice would you like to give people in small businesses, or any business advice that you can hand out?
I think one thing that saved us during COVID is that we had a small budget to start. We don't own a distillery, we outsource as much as we can. I do all our marketing as much as we can. And my husband tends to do the financing and do all the finance side. But apart from that, we don't own the distillery. So some people have come unstuck when, of course, they own these large places and they've got a lot of staff. So for us, the saving grace has been outsource where possible. And then what we've been able to do is basically just fold on a small scale and just keep quiet. Well, not keep quiet, just being able to shut the business down for the moment. Minimize overhead, really keep visible. Because I have noticed that there were lots of people, I guess they were employed to do social media for gin companies, and now people are cutting back. They aren't, and it's noticeable that the communication has gone, basically. So there are very few people and not doing anything particularly innovative with their marketing. It's almost like they've forgotten that side to keep you've got to stay in people's minds. Manage expectations as well. I've seen people where we live who they do estate deliveries of food, and they've been like, yeah, and they've taken so much business that now they've completely failed to deliver, and they've lost all that trust. So I think manage expectations. If you've got a problem with getting in something that somebody's ordered, be honest, tell them. People hopefully will be understanding in the times that we're in. Know your business really well, because we did everything ourselves, from bottling and boxing and making and preparing and everything. Now we outsource. We know what we expect from the people that we outsource to. So there's no kind of black box scenario going on where you haven't got a real clue how your product's being made. And really, I think, don't be shy. Market. Tell everybody about your business. There's no point being coy. Obviously, you don't want to do it to death, but if people ask you about it, tell them. Make it sound interesting, something they can engage with. Don't some people are a bit shy about talking about the business and tend to kind of hide it away. Where I think don't. If somebody asks, tell them.
Thank you so much, Paula. I'm going to give back to Richard now so that you can go through the takeaways, and then afterwards, if you would kindly stay, and if there's somebody that's got a question for you, maybe you can help.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, thanks, Lani. Thanks, Paula. Listening to that, I actually can't wait now for the lockdown to end. Because I ride past Tops quite often, and I see the gym in the window there, and I keep saying, I know you gave us that small bottle of that taster. We haven't opened it yet. I'm actually wondering when Lani's going to grab it, because she's been through everything else. Okay, so I'm listening to the conversation, and Paula, please interject if you don't agree with the takeaway. So the main two things that I take away from what you guys have done in your business is that you obviously have belief and you have skills. And that I see that there are 4 actions that actually underpin your belief and skills. Is that first and foremost is that no idea is a bad idea. You need to have belief in your idea. A lot of small businesses just fall over because they say, oh, it's too hard, or it'll never happen, and they just don't have that belief. You guys mentioned there that you had a great awareness. So your inspiration came from sipping gin in Kenya, and using your background to actually, to identify that elephants don't digest everything that they eat, and that you could actually use that as a basis for gin. That's fantastic. So no idea is a bad idea, and constantly be on the lookout for opportunities to grow your business and add value to your customers. The second part that I picked up is that the skills was very, very important. That assess what skills you've got. Actually, I think all of us will be pretty much amazed if you look at them critically and make the most of the ones that you do have. And also look at yourself quite critically in terms of identifying what weaknesses that you have, and then upgrade. And if you can't upgrade, outsource some of that stuff. Like most of us would outsource our accounting to a finance house or an accountant, and there's lots of them around. The third thing that I picked out was customer care. That there was a lot of touch points with customers. And looking at what is your current relationships with your current customers? What do you need to do to improve those relationships? How are you constantly adding value by touching them, talking to people in queues? And then how are you going to reach more customers? So you mentioned there maybe bringing in an expert like a digital marketing specialist using social media, but especially at this time, everybody's on social media. And then the last thing I picked out was a contingency plan. So if you had to ask lots of small businesses out there, how many people actually have a contingency plan? Do they plan for scenarios? Do they have a plan A, B, or C, or D, or E, or F, like we discussed last week? It's actually, the process of doing contingency planning is not very difficult. So if anybody wants help with that, I can definitely help. And those were the 4 main things that I picked out from your story. And I agree with you. I think the stories, everybody has a business or even has a career, has a story to tell. And the more stories that we can tell, the more inspiration we can get.